Dr. Marcus Webb pressed his palm against the observation window, watching three suns paint the horizon of Meridian Station in shades of amber and violet. For 8 years, this colony world had been his home, a peaceful research outpost where human scientists studied xenobiology alongside alien colleagues. The station housed 4 to 7 families, each one having chosen this distant corner of space to build something better than the crowded systems closer to Earth. Marcus checked his data tablet. His daughter Emma's school group would be returning from their field trip to the hydroponics dome soon. At 7 years old, she had already decided she wanted to be a botanist, fascinated by how Earth plants adapted to alien soil. The thought made him smile, though concern nagged at the edge of his mind. Something felt wrong today. The communication array had been experiencing unexplained disruptions for the past 6 hours. 2 neighboring colonies, Haverton Point and New Jakarta, had gone completely silent. When Marcus tried reaching the Galactic Council's local representative, an austere Velkari diplomat named Questa Thane, he received only automated responses. Dr. Webb. His assistant, a young woman named Petra Holmes, appeared in the doorway. Her face was pale. "You need to see this. Now." Marcus followed her to the communications center. The room buzzed with tense activity as technicians crowded around multiple screens. Chief Communications Officer Raymond Torres looked up, his expression grim. "We're picking up distress signals," Raymond said quietly. "Multiple stations. All human colonies within this sector." Marcus felt ice settle in his stomach. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life. Static-filled transmissions overlapped, creating a cacophony of terror. But one message came through clearly enough to freeze everyone in place. A woman's voice, breaking with panic, "They're targeting the nurseries. God help us, they're specifically targeting the children. This isn't a military strike, this is." The transmission cut to static. Marcus staggered backward. "Emma. Where's Emma's group?" Petra grabbed his arm. "They're still in the hydroponics dome. They should be safe there for now. Get them back here immediately. Full lockdown protocol." Marcus's voice sounded distant to his own ears. "Raymond, broadcast emergency evacuation to all station personnel. Petra, I need direct communication with Earth Defense Command, Priority Alpha." The room erupted into controlled chaos. Marcus stood motionless as pieces of the situation assembled in his mind like a horrifying puzzle. The diplomatic tensions over the past year. The coalition of elder alien species demanding human withdrawal from frontier territories. The veiled threats disguised as concerned negotiations. Humanity had always responded with measured diplomacy, choosing restraint over confrontation. But this was different. This crossed every civilized line. Raymond's hands shook as he worked the console. "Dr. Webb, I'm getting similar reports from 17 colonies. The attacks are coordinated. They're hitting nursery stations, medical facilities, schools." He paused, his voice dropping. "Haverton Point is gone. Complete destruction. Estimated casualties over 3,000, mostly children and medical staff." The room fell silent except for the soft beeping of equipment. Marcus felt something break inside him, a fundamental shift in how he understood the galaxy's nature. They had trusted the diplomatic process. They had believed in negotiation and peaceful coexistence. They had assumed other species valued life as humans did. They had been catastrophically wrong. "Sir, I have Earth Command," a technician called out. "But it's strange. They're not responding with evacuation orders." Marcus moved to the console. "This is Dr. Marcus Webb, Colonial Director of Meridian Station. We're under imminent threat and request immediate." "Dr. Webb." The voice that interrupted him was calm, almost eerily so. "This is Defense Command Central. Maintain your position. Protect all personnel. Do not attempt evacuation. Earth is implementing containment protocol." "Containment? We need evacuation ships. We need. You need to trust us, Doctor. Something is coming. Something the galaxy isn't ready for." The connection terminated. Marcus stared at the dead screen. In 30 years of service, he had never heard that tone from Earth Command. Not during natural disasters, not during previous conflicts, not during any crisis. It was the voice of someone about to do something irreversible. His tablet chimed. A message from Emma's teacher, returning to main station. "Children are frightened. What should we tell them?" Marcus typed slowly, "Tell them help is coming. Tell them Earth remembers." Outside the window, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, Marcus sensed a change occurring. The galaxy had pushed humanity too far, had tested the limits of human patience and found the one absolute boundary that could not be crossed. They had harmed the children. And now, Marcus realized with certainty, the galaxy would learn what humanity had hidden beneath centuries of diplomatic restraint. Not weakness. Not pacifism. But a calculated, patient fury that had been waiting for the one unforgivable act. The silent covenant was broken. And silence itself would soon take on an entirely new meaning. Captain Joanna Vex had never seen the war room this crowded. Officers from every branch of Earth's defense network filled the massive underground chamber, their faces reflecting the harsh blue light of tactical displays. She stood near the back, her military intelligence credentials barely enough to grant her access to what was clearly the most classified briefing in human history. At the front of the room, General Patricia Okonkwo waited in absolute silence. The woman's dark eyes swept across the assembled officers with an intensity that made even veteran commanders straighten their postures. Behind her, a massive holographic display showed the Milky Way galaxy, with hundreds of red markers indicating human colonies and infrastructure. 72 hours ago, General Okonkwo began, her voice cutting through the tension. A coalition of alien species crossed a line they believed didn't exist. They attacked our colonies. They murdered our children. They did this believing humanity would respond as we always have, with restraint, with diplomacy, with measured words and careful negotiations. She pressed a control, and the galaxy display shifted. New markers appeared, thousands of them, spreading like neural pathways through every major trade route and communication hub. They were wrong about what our restraint meant. Joanna leaned forward, her breath catching. Those markers weren't random. They formed an intricate web connecting every significant alien military installation, every faster-than-light relay, every power distribution network across dozens of species' territories. For 147 years, the general continued, since first contact, humanity has participated in the Galactic Council. We built communication relays. We provided infrastructure support. We shared our engineering expertise. Every station we constructed, every relay we installed, every technical system we gifted to facilitate galactic cooperation. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Every single one contained a component that doesn't appear on any official schematic. A colonel in the front row stood abruptly. General, are you saying we've weaponized the entire galactic infrastructure? Not weaponized, Colonel Barnes. We've embedded quantum-entangled shutdown protocols. Every piece of technology we've contributed to galactic civilization over the past century and a half can be remotely disabled simultaneously. Navigation systems, communication arrays, power grids, military targeting computers, everything dependent on the infrastructure humanity helped build. Joanna felt her mind racing. The implications were staggering. Every alien species had welcomed human technical assistance, had praised humanity's generous contributions to galactic development. None of them had questioned why humans were so eager to help, so willing to share technology. This is Protocol Crimson, General Okonkwo said. Developed during the early years after first contact, when we realized the galaxy operated on principles far different from our own. When we understood that species with millions of years of development saw humanity as temporary, expendable, useful only until we weren't. The display changed again, showing a timeline. Joanna recognized the key moments. The Velkari trade sanctions that nearly starved 3 colonies. The Kresh territorial claims that displaced human settlements. The Mordaxis cultural suppression laws. Each time, humanity had responded diplomatically, peacefully. Every provocation was a test, the general explained. Every diplomatic slight, every economic manipulation, every subtle act of aggression, we documented it all. We learned from it. And we prepared for the day they would finally go too far. A major near Joanna whispered, they targeted children. They actually thought we'd just accept that. General Okonkwo heard him. They believed our restraint was weakness. They mistook our patience for inability. What they failed to understand is that humanity chose mercy. We chose peace. We chose to give them every opportunity to coexist with us as equals. Her voice hardened. They rejected every opportunity. And now they'll learn the difference between a species that can't defend itself and a species that chooses not to. She activated another display. Captain Vex, front and center. Joanna's heart hammered as she made her way through the crowd. She had no idea why she specifically had been summoned to this briefing. Captain Vex has been tracking Galactic Council military movements for the past 8 years, the general announced. Her analysis predicted this coordinated attack 6 months ago. She also identified the optimal timing for Protocol Crimson activation. Joanna stared at the general. I had no idea my reports were being used for the most significant military operation in human history? You should be proud, Captain. Your work has given us the exact data we need. General Okonkwo handed her a data chip. You're now second in command of the coordination team. This chip contains the activation sequences for every embedded protocol in your designated sectors. You'll work with Commander Felix Train and his team to ensure simultaneous deployment. A tall man with steel-gray hair nodded to Joanna from across the room. Commander Train looked like he hadn't slept in days. How long do we have? Joanna asked, her voice steadier than she felt. 68 hours now, the general replied. The coalition believes they've crippled us. They're consolidating their military positions, preparing for humanity's surrender or desperate retaliation. They expect a conventional response. Instead, they're going to wake up to find every system they depend on has simply stopped. Another officer spoke up. What about collateral damage? Civilian populations? Minimal, General Okonkwo answered. The protocols target military and infrastructure systems only. Life support, medical facilities, civilian power, all protected. We're not them. We don't murder children to make a point. The room absorbed that in silence. Joanna felt the weight of what was coming settle on her shoulders. This wasn't just a military operation. This was humanity announcing to the galaxy that the age of testing human patience was over. One more thing, the general said quietly. We have approximately 400 personnel embedded throughout alien territories. Scientists, diplomats, engineers, all of them are sleeper agents who've been waiting for this moment. When we activate Protocol Crimson, they'll ensure no countermeasures can be deployed. Captain Vex, you'll coordinate with them as well. Joanna accepted the responsibility with a nod, though her mind spun with implications. 400 people living double lives for years, decades even, waiting for a signal that might never come. Are there any moral objections to this operation? General Okonkwo asked, scanning the room. This is the moment to voice them. Once we begin, there's no stopping. The galaxy will change forever. Silence. Not because of fear, Joanna realized, but because every person in this room had seen the casualty reports. Had read the names of children who would never grow up. Had watched humanity's diplomatic corps spend decades building bridges that were burned in a single, calculated act of barbarism. Then we proceed, the general said. 72 hours from the first attack, the galaxy goes dark. And when the lights come back on, they'll be under humanity's terms. Get to your stations. History is watching. As the room emptied, Joanna remained, staring at the galactic display. In 68 hours, every red marker would pulse simultaneously. Quantum-entangled signals would cascade through systems light-years apart, executing commands embedded in code that alien species had never thought to question. Commander Train appeared beside her. Overwhelming, isn't it? Knowing we're about to reshape galactic civilization. They gave us no choice, Joanna said softly. No, Train agreed. They really didn't. Come on, Captain. We have a countdown to manage and a galaxy to silence. Ambassador Thomas Reeves had represented Earth at the Galactic Council for 19 years. He had mastered the art of diplomatic patience, learned to navigate the complex web of alien politics, and built relationships with species whose cultures spanned millions of years. He understood how to lose small battles to win larger wars, how to accept insults with grace, how to turn provocations into opportunities for dialogue. None of that mattered anymore. He stood alone in the council observation deck, watching the massive chamber below where representatives from 43 species typically gathered. The chamber was empty now, dark except for emergency lighting. Every seat vacant. Every communication channel silent. Thomas checked his chronometer. 4 hours since Protocol Crimson activation. 4 hours since humanity had simultaneously disabled the military and communication infrastructure of every species involved in the colony attacks. The galaxy had gone silent. His personal communicator chimed. Ambassador Reeves, they're arriving. Thomas turned from the window. How many? All of them, sir. Every species that attacked us, plus 17 neutral observers. They're demanding an emergency session. Let them demand, Thomas said quietly. Make them wait another hour. Let them feel what helplessness tastes like. He descended to his private office and reviewed the reports flooding in from across human space. The operation had exceeded every projection. Not a single embedded protocol had failed. Not one alien countermeasure had succeeded. Species that had possessed faster-than-light travel for millennia were suddenly trapped in their own star systems, their ships unable to navigate, their weapons unable to target, their communications reduced to primitive radio transmissions that would take years to reach neighboring systems. The Velkari supremacy, whose merchants had controlled galactic trade for 6,000 years, sat powerless as their entire economic network collapsed. The Kresh Collective, whose military had never known defeat, watched their warships drift aimlessly as navigation systems displayed nothing but error codes. The Mordaxis Confederation, whose surveillance state had monitored half the galaxy, found their intelligence apparatus completely blind. And humanity had done it without firing a single shot. Thomas's aide, a young diplomat named Gregory Marsh, entered with fresh intelligence. "Sir, we're intercepting some radio transmissions. The Velkari are trying to communicate with each other using century-old technology. They're panicking." "What are they saying?" "They're calling it the Great Silence. Some are speculating it's a natural phenomenon, a quantum field collapse. Others are beginning to suspect the truth." Gregory paused. "One transmission called it humanity's true face." Thomas nodded slowly. "Prepare the council chamber. It's time." An hour later, Thomas walked into the Galactic Council chamber to find it filled with aliens in various states of distress. Questa Thane of the Velkari supremacy stood near the center, his crystalline exoskeleton dim with anxiety. Supreme Commander Vorik of the Kresh Collective paced on multiple legs, mandibles clicking in agitation. Even neutral observers like Ambassador Quellin of the peaceful Sauriev Commonwealth looked frightened. The moment Thomas appeared, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, each species shouting in their own language, demanding explanations, hurling accusations. Thomas walked calmly to the human delegation podium and waited. Gradually, the noise subsided. They wanted answers more than they wanted to yell. "You did this," Questa Thane said finally, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance of his species. "Humanity has attacked the entire galactic infrastructure. This is an act of war against every civilized species." Thomas met the Velkari's multifaceted eyes. "No, Questa. What happened to our children was an act of war. What we did was simply clarification." "Clarification?" Supreme Commander Vorik's translator crackled with outrage. "You've crippled our defenses, destroyed our communications, stranded our populations." "Your life support functions perfectly," Thomas interrupted. "Your medical facilities operate normally. Your civilian infrastructure remains intact. We specifically designed Protocol Crimson to harm no one. Unlike the coalition that murdered 3,000 human children in their sleep." The chamber fell into shocked silence. Ambassador Quellin of the Sauriev spoke carefully. "Ambassador Reeves, my people took no part in the attacks. Yet our systems are also affected. How do you justify?" "Your systems will be restored within 72 hours, Thomas said. "Along with every other neutral party. We harbor no ill will toward species that maintain their principles. But understand this, every piece of technology in this galaxy that humanity helped build now operates at our discretion. Not as a threat, but as a reality you must accept." "You deceived us," another voice called out. "For over a century, you planted weapons throughout our territories while pretending to be peaceful." Thomas smiled without warmth. "We planted shutdown switches, not weapons. There's a difference you should appreciate. And we didn't deceive you, we simply didn't advertise our insurance policy. Every time your coalition tested humanity's boundaries, every time you pushed to see how far you could go, we documented it. We learned. We prepared." He activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. It showed a timeline of every diplomatic incident, every economic manipulation, every territorial encroachment humanity had endured. Hundreds of provocations over 147 years. "Every single time," Thomas said, his voice carrying steel beneath the diplomatic polish, "humanity chose restraint. We chose negotiation. We chose to believe that reason would prevail, that the Galactic Council meant something, that civilized species didn't target children to score political points." Supreme Commander Vorik's posture shifted, his earlier aggression fading. "You could have dominated us from the beginning. Why wait? Why endure decades of testing?" "Because we hoped we were wrong," Thomas answered simply. "We hoped that given enough time, enough patience, enough good faith, you would see us as equals rather than resources to be exploited or obstacles to be removed. We gave you 147 years of chances." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. The attack on our colonies was the final test. And you failed it spectacularly. Questathane's crystalline body seemed to dim further. What happens now? Will you destroy us? Conquer our worlds? No, Thomas said firmly. Humanity doesn't seek conquest. We never have. But we will never again be underestimated, marginalized, or targeted. From this moment forward, the galaxy operates under new rules. He projected a document into the chamber's central display. The Covenant of Mutual Protection. Every species in this chamber will sign it. The terms are simple. Any attack on a council member's civilian population will be treated as an attack on all. Any species that violates this covenant will face immediate, complete isolation. Your faster-than-light capabilities will be disabled until you make reparations. You're threatening to hold the entire galaxy hostage, someone accused. No, Thomas corrected. We're offering to be the enforcers of laws you all claim to believe in but never actually followed. Humanity spent centuries thinking you were better than us, more evolved, more civilized. We were wrong. You're exactly like we used to be, tribal, territorial, willing to harm the innocent to gain advantage. He paused, letting that sink in. The difference is we evolved past it. And now we're going to make sure you do too. Ambassador Quellen spoke softly. And if we refuse to sign? Thomas met her gaze. Then you'll discover how peaceful humanity can be while you sit isolated in your own systems, cut off from galactic civilization, until you change your minds. We can wait. We've proven we're very good at waiting. The chamber filled with whispered consultations. Species conferring with their home governments via whatever primitive communications still functioned. Thomas stood patiently, knowing the outcome was inevitable. They had no choice, just as humanity had been given no choice. After nearly an hour, Questathane approached the podium. His movements were slow, deliberate, defeated. The Velkari supremacy will sign your covenant, he said quietly. But answer me this, Ambassador. Do you feel powerful now? Righteous? Thomas considered the question carefully. I feel tired, Questa. Tired of watching my people die because you mistook kindness for weakness. Tired of diplomatic games that meant nothing when you decided to attack. Tired of hoping you'd be better than you are. He gestured to the empty chamber. We didn't want this power. We wanted partnership. Equals working together. You gave us no choice but to reveal what we'd always been capable of. One by one, the species approached to signify acceptance. Some with anger, some with fear, some with what might have been respect. Thomas processed each signature, knowing that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Humanity would no longer be the junior member of the Galactic Council, the species others tested and provoked. They would be the silent guardians, the patient observers, the species that held the power to disconnect any aggressor from galactic civilization itself. As the last signature was recorded, Thomas looked out at the assembled aliens. Your systems will be restored over the next week. Your communications, your navigation, your defenses, all of it will come back online. But you'll do so knowing that humanity holds the key. Not to use as a weapon, but as a reminder. He deactivated the display. We chose mercy once. We're choosing it again now. Don't make us reconsider. Thomas left the chamber in silence, the weight of what humanity had become pressing down on him. They had reshaped galactic civilization in 72 hours, had proven their technological superiority, had forced peace through overwhelming capability. Outside, he looked up at the stars, stars that now existed under humanity's watchful protection. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Whether that lesson would hold, whether this new order would bring true peace or simply a different kind of tension, remained to be seen. But one thing was certain, humanity would never again be the species others tested. They had become what the galaxy needed but never wanted, the guardians who remembered when lines were crossed, and who possessed both the power and the will to ensure those lines were never crossed again. The silence that had fallen across the galaxy wasn't emptiness. It was waiting. Waiting to see what kind of guardians humanity would be, now that the mask of weakness had been stripped away to reveal the patient, terrible strength beneath. Thomas hoped they would prove worthy of the responsibility. Because now, there was no going back.